Hi everyone, so this video is going to be my end of May updates. I'm going to start with my new acquisitions. So the first three plants were kindly gifted by Orchidaea on YouTube. Thank you so much for sending these plants to me. I'll do my best to take good care of them. So this one is Vanda tricolor. This one is Stelis micranta clouds mini-me. And this one is Masdevallia amplexa. So the next one is Mormodes andreettae. Our Orchid Society did a group order to Equaflora, who was at the Ottawa Orchid Show, I believe. So I decided to get this plant. It currently has one new growth on it, and it's pushing out roots, so I think this will be doing okay. So the last plant is a replacement for my Aerides Bangkok Sunset. I was very lucky to get this one in bloom, so I'm able to enjoy the flowers. They're a little bit banged up because I took them through public transit, but otherwise they look pretty good. This plant has a much better root system and it's a lot bigger than my previous one that died, so I think this one should do better. Yeah, I'm very excited to have this plant back in my collection. This one is Ascocentrum garayi. It's finally pushed out new roots, so that's good. And it's also in spike. It has two spikes there, and they're just now starting to put on color. The tips have kind of died off on the spikes a little bit, but otherwise it's fine. This is my Ascocentrum ampullaceum, and it's in full bloom now. It's actually starting to lose a few blooms at the bottom there. I think it's because it fell over in the car, but overall it's doing really nicely. I took this to my Orchid Society just to show the flowers, and I got a little award, so that was nice as well. I am planning a bloom video for this since the bloom display is a lot better than the one before, so that will be coming shortly. So one sad thing was the spike on my Vanda coeruluscens died. I think what happened was this part got bruised somehow, maybe knocked against this, and then it wasn't able to grow the spike any further. It was in bud, so it's pretty sad, but the good news is I know that this is definitely big enough to spike, so perhaps next time. This is my Aerides houlletiana, and it's in full bloom. I won't do a bloom video on this just because the bloom display is not as good as last year, so if I'm going to do another dedicated bloom video, I'd prefer that the display has improved. That being said, I will record a short clip and I'll insert it in this video. So this is my Phal NOID, and one thing that's changed is that it's lost the latest or the oldest leaf here. I'm still waiting for the new leaf to grow. It has that shape here where I feel like something will come out soon, but nothing has come out yet. Okay, so these are my flask babies. I think overall they're doing pretty okay. The one on the second column from the right, second one down from the top. Let's see. That one. I think I'll have to get rid of that one. It's out of all of them, it's declining the most, so I think that one has to go. But overall, they're doing pretty okay. It's hard to see in there, and I don't want to take it out, but that one is Ascocentrum pusillum, and it's finally pushing out a new root, so I think it's recovering. Also, the latest leaf is a lot wider than the previous leaf, so I think that's a good sign. And this is Dendrobium Christyanum. What I did was I unpotted it, disinfected it, and put it in this cup covered, hoping to promote a new growth. This is my SLC World Vacation Shibuya Sunset. This is the latest growth, and it has a small sheath. The sheath is empty, but I feel like this tells me that it is big enough to bloom now, so perhaps the next one will bloom. So this is my Brassavola cucullata red form, and there's a new growth there, and it's also pushing out new roots, so this one's doing pretty okay. This is my RLC Durigan, and it's finally pushing out that new growth. So this is my Phal javanica, and it's in bloom, but it's a bit stuck, like it hasn't really opened all the way, and to be honest, I don't think it will. It has 3 new buds on it, one that's about to blast, but so let's see, there's 2 new buds that are coming. I have been keeping this pretty moist just to help with the humidity. The top sepal is stuck in that position. This is my Dendrobium scabrinlingue, and it's coming into bloom. I think I will do a bloom video on this when all the buds open. This is my Thrixspermum leucorachne, and it's pushed out like 5 flower spikes, which is really surprising, but I'm not going to complain. It's also pushing out new root tips, even on the old roots, so that's good. I noticed that this flower spike has grown a little bit, so perhaps we might get a bloom on that one. So this is my Galeanda Aerides, and its new growth is doing pretty good. This is my LC Supersonic Striking Lip. It has 2 new growth on it, and one of them is definitely growing, that one there. This is my Dendrobium Pretium, and it's coming into bloom. So this one is blooming first. I think that one will be next, and then the one behind it afterwards. I will do a bloom video on this when all the flowers open. They're known to stay open for quite a long time, so I'm not worried about the blooms dying while I wait. This is my tricolor pusillum, and the blooms finally faded, and it has a new leaf growing. I will say that it does develop a fragrance over time, and I'll update the description in that video to reflect that. The smell's a bit powdery but like sweet, so like baby powder, I'd say. This is my Ascocentrum cross. Still hasn't pushed out that flower spike. I have a feeling it's just not going to, which kind of sucks, but I am still patiently waiting for that to do something. This is my Cloecia Rebecca Northern, and the new growths are pushing out nicely. Pseudobulbs are getting wrinkled, so I think I may have to water this one. This is my Epidendrum ciliare. For whatever reason, the roots stopped growing in the pot, and this growth also stopped growing. It's kind of annoying. I want this one to do well so that I can get rid of the other one. I don't want to get rid of the other one until I see this one doing well. This one is FDK After Dark SVO Black Pearl, and this is growing really nicely. This is my other Catasetum cross. It's also doing really, really nicely. I think the pseudobulb is actually bigger than the previous one, so that's a good sign. This is my Dendrobium antenatum cross. The leaves still look splotchy, even though I've given it extra magnesium every 3rd watering or so. Maybe it needs more time. This is a flower spike. I'm really crossing my fingers that nothing blasts or gets fried by the lights, but so far it's looking pretty good. My initial plan was to put this outside, but I'm just going to leave it here. I think it's doing pretty okay. This looks very promising, and I'm very happy. This is my other Catasetum cross, the one with the fimbriated lips. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but it does have 2 new growths. This one is a bit slow to wake up, but it's doing pretty okay. One thing I noticed yesterday was, there's actually another new growth growing here. So in total, this will have 3 new pseudobulbs. This is Vanda insignis, and this is Vanda fetida, and they both have new leaves on them. This is Phalaenopsis cornucervi chatellate, and it has a bud on its flower spike. This is Papilioanth taiwaniana, and it's pushing out a lot of new roots, so that's good. This is my Galeotia fimbriata, and it has 2 new growths. This one here, and there's one on that pseudobulb there. This is my Cattleya dormaniana, and since the temperature has risen at night to at least 10 degrees, I've been leaving it outside. So far it's doing pretty okay, getting new root growth. I can't tell right now if there's any new pseudobulbs that are coming, but it's otherwise fine. This is my Pedangus dactyloceras, and it has 2 flower spikes on it, so that's good. So this is my Aerides guga, and it's interesting because it hasn't had much growth, but that brown thing down there, I think it's a flower spike. So if that's a flower spike, then that's very good. I've only seen maybe one of these in bloom before, and the picture wasn't that good, so it'd be nice to have a frame of reference of what this flower looks like, especially if you also have this cross. This is my Dendrobium cariniferum. This one is very slow to wake up, but it's finally pushing out a new growth. It's right there at the bottom. So this is my Paphinia rugosa. I was hoping this would fatten up a little bit, but it hasn't yet. This one is not doing very well. This one's doing well. This is my Dendrobium linawianum, and it's pushing out another keiki. I'm questioning whether this is just going to be a keiki maker or if it's going to push out actually a new growth, but we'll see. This is my Polycygnus barbata. I decided to put it in a pot instead of a basket. I think I will have an easier time keeping it moist, and since the flower spike won't grow downwards, it's not going to affect the way it flowers. One thing I noticed was all these pseudobulbs had dead roots, so that's not good, but this pseudobulb is pushing out new roots, so at least there's that. This hasn't gotten much bigger. I don't know if it will. I'm hoping it will, but it's not looking super great. But I'm hoping now that's in a basket, it'll be easier for me to keep it moist. So this is my Chysis levis. At this stage, I think it's done growing this pseudobulb. It's fattened up nicely. I don't think it'll get much fatter though, but I feel like this made big recovery from where it was before. So I'm very, very happy with this. So this is my Dendrobium tobayans flask. And as you can see, compared to the line there, that it has grown a little bit. There are still no signs of contamination, so I will leave it in there for now. So far, there's only one plant in there that has pushed out aerial roots, and they're like adult roots. They're nice and thick, not like the little skinny roots from the initial seedling, so that's very good. This is my Bulbophyllum saltatorium variation albociliatum, and it's pushing out a lot of new growths, which is good. But the problem is the new growths are pretty tiny, so that's not good. They should be bigger, or at least the size of the previous growths. So that's a bit concerning. I think I may have to repot it, but I'll wait for these guys to grow out first. I removed some of the moss on my Dendrobium draconis. I was just worried that the new growth would get suffocated. With the moss removed, it does look bigger, but I don't think it has grown all that much. It is black, but it's not rotted, it's just the black hair. So this is my Bulbophyllum siluacei, and I never noticed before, but I think the latest growth is the best growth I've had. So the pseudobulb ends here, so it's definitely a lot taller than the previous pseudobulbs. And if you look at the leaf is way huge compared to the previous leaves. So this one's doing very well. Hasn't bloomed, but in terms of growth, I think it's good. So this is my Restrepia gutulata, and it actually bloomed for me. I was surprised. The only problem was that the flower never actually really opened. It was kind of stuck in this shape. And as I was waiting for it to open, it just died, so that's unfortunate. But it does have another flower spike over here, so hopefully that one will open and I can capture it. This is my Bulbophyllum princess bajaratana, and it's pushing out a new growth. One thing I want to point out, or just make a note of, is that for whatever reasons, the leaves feel very floppy. They don't have a lot of substance, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. This is my Ionosidium popcorn haruri, and its latest growth is maturing really nicely. No signs of spikes or anything like that though. So this is my Coryanthes missaceae, and its latest growth is doing really well. I did end up removing 2 of the shriveled pseudobulbs just to get them out of the way. This is Phalaenopsis subparicii, and I'm very surprised that the latest leaf growth is so big, but I'm also not going to complain about it. It also has another new leaf coming, so that's good. This is my Phalaenopsis fimbriata, and it's in bloom. I am planning to do a bloom video on this since the bloom display is a lot nicer than the last time, but I noticed that there is another bud here. So I will probably wait for that one to open before I film the video. I'm hoping these will stay open as that one opens as well, but we'll see. This is my Rodriguesia lemanii, and its new growth is still growing. It's growing a bit slow, but I think that is okay. It does have a bunch of new root tips though, so that's really good. So last but not least is Dendrobium Pretium, and its new growth is pushing out really nicely. Alrighty, so that's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!